This is Brent Rooker from the A's. You're listening to Jim on Base.
Welcome back to another episode of the Jim on Base show. For today's very special guest, we have on Brent Rooker from the Oakland A's. And Brent, it's good to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you having me.
And you guys had an extra inning win last night, so are you a little tired today to get your 8 hours in, or?
Yeah, a little bit. It was a late one last night, quick turnaround this morning, but that's just kind of part of it. Those day games after night games can be tough sometimes, but I'm sure we'll be ready to go.
And you're a dad, right? I think you have a baby daughter, so was she awake when you got home, or what do you have to do to get everyone down and get ready for the game today?
Yeah, they were both here last night, my wife and daughter, and they stayed the whole game, and then I actually had to drop them off at the airport this morning about 3:30, so I had an early airport run this morning, then went back to bed and got a few more hours of sleep and got up and came here.
And you're from Germantown, right, in Tennessee, so I did a little research on it, and there's some big people that have come out of there. I think Steven Seagal's from there, John Daly, Matt Cain, so yeah. You guys pump them out.
Yeah, a few of those names I did not know were from there, but yeah, we've got some good baseball around there, some good baseball players that have kind of come through and had good big league careers, so it's a good place to live. We like it.
Is that where you're still at now, or?
Yeah. We were, me and my wife are both from there, so that's where we live now.
I talked to Tony Kemp, and he said he's from Tennessee. So are you guys close in the state or spread out?
We're about 3 hours apart. Tony's in Nashville. I lived in Franklin for about 4 years after I got drafted. And after me and my wife got married, we lived in Franklin for a bit, and then we moved back home to Germantown, once Blair was born. So I lived up close to Tony for a while, like I said, but then we kind of came back home once we had a baby.
What's some of your hobbies away from the game? Like, what are you into? Are you into shows, music? What do you like to do?
Yeah, I like music. I watch a lot of TV shows. I play a lot of golf in the off season and in season when I can. I'd say it's probably my biggest hobby is away from baseball is golf. Try to get out there whenever I can, and it's something that kind of takes my mind off of baseball and kind of gets you away from it for a little bit, and I enjoy it.
Are you the best golfer on the team, or do you guys have any little competitions that go on the golf course? Or?
JP is better than me. We've kind of argued about that all year. JP Sears is the best. I'm probably the second best on the team, I would say, but JP is definitely a little better than me.
Well, I think it's fun to have people on and talk about their call-up story. So what do you remember most about your call-up story?
Yeah, mine was 2020, so it was the COVID year. So we were all at the alt site, I was hanging out in a hotel room playing Call of Duty. It was late at night, and our farm director called me and let me know I was going to go up the next day, which is pretty exciting. At the same time, the 2020 year was kind of weird just because obviously parents couldn't come, family couldn't come, empty stands and stuff like that, but it was still pretty special.
Now, does your family still get out, like your parents and stuff, to see you then, like now? Because I guess you almost have like a double debut, right, when they come out when COVID kind of let down a little bit.
Yeah, they came out the next year, 2021, when I was called back up. They came out then, and they come out, when they can. Obviously, they're in Memphis too, so then they'll make the trip to St. Louis later this year. I think they're coming to Milwaukee. They've been out here once, and then they were in Kansas City too. So they get out to as many games as they can for sure.
Well, who did you grow up rooting for as a kid, like team-wise? Were you just into baseball, or was there other sports or teams that you rooted for?
I was a Cardinals fan, baseball-wise, just because they're the closest big league team to Memphis, and the AAA team is there as well. So that kind of made the most sense. I played 3 sports in high school, so I follow all 3 sports pretty closely. I was a big University of Memphis basketball fan back in their heyday with Derrick Rose and Chris Douglas Roberts and Joey Dorsey and those guys. So they were fun teams to watch and then can kind of follow along. But baseball's always been the main thing.
Yeah, I remember the Grizzlies, like Bonzi Wells, those guys. Some deep cuts out there.
Yeah, those are like kind of early to mid 2000s Grizzlies teams had some fun names, and then obviously they had a good run, kind of early 2010s, 11, 12 when I was in high school. They made some kind of deep pushes into the playoffs, those are fun to follow as well.
Well, when you're playing, kind of bouncing around all the time, do you have time to come home and cook? Like, are you into cooking, or how do you do the food situation? I
cook a lot in the off season. I rarely ever cook in season. They do such a good job feeding us here that it's either eating here at the stadium or taking stuff to go. I mean, I'll make breakfast when we're at home, but that's pretty easy. But as far as like cooking dinners and stuff goes, I do that a lot in the off season, but almost never in season.
Well, I had Jace Peterson on. He talked about playing cards on the plane rides. So are you good at cards, or do you get in on that? Or
no, I'm not a card guy. There's definitely some games going on in the back of the plane. They're always playing back there. I've never been a card guy, so I kind of avoid that. I just do my own thing on the plane.
Well, did you look up to any power hitters growing up? Any names that you looked up to, or?
Yeah, like I said, Cardinals fan. So Albert Pujols was a big one. Watched him a lot. Really liked him. Before him, McGuire was obviously. I know he was here, but I knew him from St. Louis, obviously, just because. That would have been the early 2000s when I was really following. So those two guys kind of stick out as two guys that I liked a lot growing up.
What about Jim Edmonds? I always thought he was an underrated guy.
Yeah, he was a really good player. Those Cardinals teams had some fun players. Pujols, Scott Rowland, Jim Edmonds, David Eckstein, Yachty was obviously on those teams. So they had a bunch of really good players, but they were fun to watch.
Well, Brent, thanks for coming on. It was fun getting to know you, and we'll be rooting you on the rest of the year.
Absolutely, thank you, appreciate it.